Welcome. Tonight, we will drift together into the long, winding story of Greek mythology, a tale not told with drama or urgency, but with a calm voice, like the slow turning of ancient pages. We will not rush, we will simply wander, as if through a peaceful landscape of memory, where gods and goddesses, heroes and mortals, myths and legends all move softly, like shadows beneath the moonlight. You may close your eyes, or simply let them grow heavy as we begin. Long ago, before the stories of cities and kings, before the names of philosophers and poets, there were tales whispered of how the world itself began. The Greeks imagined that, at the very start, there was chaos. Not chaos in the way we might imagine disorder or noise, but rather a vast emptiness, a silent expanse without shape or form. From this quiet space, things slowly emerged. Gaia, the earth, steady and nurturing, appeared to cradle all things. Alongside her came Nyx, the night, and Erebus, the deep shadow. Soon, Sky was born as Uranus, and together with Gaia, the earth below, he formed the balance of above and below, of ground and heavens. These first beings were not so much people, but presences, forces of nature shaped into familiar forms. Gaia, the earth, gave birth to mountains and seas, rivers and valleys. She also bore children with Uranus, and among them were the Titans, strong and enduring figures, who would one day rule before the Olympian gods we know more clearly. But in these early days, the world felt slower, more elemental. The Titans themselves represented grand forces: Cronus, the slow passage of time, and Rhea, the quiet nurturing of life. There were others too, each tied to vast aspects of existence, from the shining sun to the steady moon. As the myths unfolded, stories began to fill the quiet spaces of the Greek imagination. The tale of Cronus and Rhea, for instance, was one that reflected the cycles of family and power. Cronus, fearing that one of his children would one day overthrow him, swallowed them at birth. Rhea, however, longed to protect her youngest, and so when Zeus was born, she hid him away on the island of Crete, giving Cronus a stone wrapped in cloth instead. In time, Zeus would grow strong, return, and fulfill the prophecy, freeing his brothers and sisters, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, who had been swallowed by their father. And so began the rule of the Olympians. These gods were not abstract forces like the first beings, but personalities, with voices, moods, and desires. They lived, as the Greeks imagined, upon Mount Olympus, high in the sky, yet not unreachable. From their thrones above, they watched over the world of mortals, sometimes with kindness, sometimes with mischief. Zeus, the king of the gods, wielded thunder. Yet he was not only a wielder of storms, but also a figure of law and order, of hospitality and oaths. His brother Poseidon ruled the sea, his trident stirring the waves, while Hades kept to the underworld, a quiet realm of shades and spirits, where souls drifted after death. Hera, queen of the gods, watched carefully over marriage, though her stories were filled with both patience and jealousy. Demeter tended to the fields, the harvest, and the turning of seasons. Athena, wise and steady, brought knowledge and craft. Apollo carried the light of the sun, and his twin Artemis moved with quiet grace as the goddess of the hunt and the moon. When the Greeks told these stories, they did not imagine them as distant or impossible. The gods were woven into daily life, into the rising of dawn, the taste of bread, the rustle of leaves in the wind. Shrines were built not only on mountaintops, but in homes and marketplaces, at crossroads and by streams. Offerings were laid out of bread or oil or small cups of wine, given not with fear, but with respect, as one might leave a token for an old and watchful neighbor. Festivals, too, became moments of quiet joy, where processions wound through city streets, with simple songs sung to honor the gods, to keep balance, and to give thanks. In these gentle tales, gods and mortals often crossed paths. Sometimes the gods appeared in disguise, wandering among people, testing their kindness. In one story, Zeus and Hermes visited a small village, disguised as weary travelers, knocking on many doors. Most people turned them away, but one poor couple, Baucis and Philemon, welcomed them warmly, offering what little they had: bread, olives, and wine. The gods revealed themselves at last, rewarding the couple with long life and peace. Their cottage transformed into a temple, a place where kindness had blossomed. Stories like this carried not only myth, but quiet lessons, reminders that hospitality and gentleness mattered as much as strength and power. And so Greek mythology stretched onward, like a tapestry woven with countless threads. There were tales of great heroes: Heracles, known to us as Hercules, who performed his 12 labors, not with ease, but with patience, cleansing stables, taming beasts, and carrying burdens. There was Perseus, who ventured to face Medusa, whose gaze could turn men to stone, though he approached not with reckless strength, but with careful tools: a mirrored shield, a curved sword, and a pouch to carry her head. There was Theseus, who wandered the twisting paths of the labyrinth, guided not by brute force alone, but by the thread of Ariadne, who quietly offered him a way out. Each of these heroes was more than a tale of adventure. They were also mirrors of everyday concerns. Heracles, though mighty, struggled with sorrow and mistakes, yet still sought atonement. Perseus, though clever, relied on gifts from the gods, showing that no one succeeded entirely alone. Theseus, though victorious, left behind Ariadne, reminding listeners that choices had consequences, even for heroes. And so, the myths spoke softly of human life, of strength and weakness, of kindness and pride, of journeys taken and lessons learned. Beyond heroes and gods, there were gentler tales too, stories of nymphs who were spirits of rivers, trees, and meadows. To the Greeks, the world itself was alive, each spring and grove carrying a presence that deserved respect. Farmers, when tending to fields, might whisper a prayer to Demeter. Sailors, before setting out to sea, might pour a small libation into the waves for Poseidon. Families, when mourning, would light lamps for the departed, trusting that Hermes, the quiet guide, would lead souls safely to the underworld. Life was not separate from mythology. It was interwoven, so that even the simplest act carried meaning. As centuries passed, the myths deepened, shaped by poets and storytellers who gave them new voices. Hesiod, in his Theogony, described the birth of the gods, a soft genealogy of divine generations. Homer, in the Iliad and the Odyssey, wove stories of heroes into grand yet human struggles: Achilles by the walls of Troy, Odysseus wandering homeward through sea and storm. Yet even in these epics, moments of calm appeared: a mother comforting her son, a fire glowing in a hearth, a ship resting at anchor beneath the stars. The Greeks never saw mythology as only grand battles. It was also in the stillness of dawn, in the quiet between journeys. The Olympians themselves were imagined in very human ways. They quarreled and debated, laughed and celebrated. Yet they also reflected ideals: Athena as wisdom, Aphrodite as love, Dionysus as joy and release. Even Hephaestus, the quiet craftsman of fire, was remembered not for glory, but for patient work at his forge. shaping tools and ornaments. The gods were not distant perfection, but companions to the rhythm of daily life. A child might hear the story of Apollo and the lyre, and then learn to pluck gentle notes on strings. A farmer might think of Demeter when wheat ripened, or of Persephone when winter returned, her time in the underworld, marking the cycle of seasons. Among the myths, the story of Persephone and Demeter was told often, for it explained both sorrow and renewal. Persephone, taken by Hades into the underworld, lived part of the year among the dead. Her mother Demeter, grieving her absence, let the fields wither and lie barren. Yet when Persephone returned each spring, the earth grew green again. This story, gentle though tinged with sadness, reminded listeners of the natural cycles around them. The ebb and flow of seasons, the balance of loss and return. Other stories, too, carried quiet reflections. Orpheus, the musician, was said to charm all with his song, even stones and rivers. His love for Eurydice led him to the underworld, where his music softened even Hades. Yet when he looked back too soon, Eurydice was lost to him again. This tale, told in many versions, was not only one of sorrow, but of the power of music, of the fragile nature of hope, and of the way longing and memory weave through human lives. The Greeks told stories of creation, of gods, of heroes, but also of the stars above. Each constellation was a story placed into the night sky. Orion, the hunter, strides across the heavens. The Pleiades, a cluster of sisters, shimmer together. The great bear, Callisto, was transformed to live among the stars. For shepherds watching flocks at night, or sailors guiding ships by starlight, these myths gave comfort and direction, making the vast sky feel like a familiar tapestry of tales. Temples, too, rose across the Greek world, yet they were not places of silent awe alone, but of gatherings, festivals, and offerings. The Parthenon in Athens, dedicated to Athena, was filled not only with grandeur, but also with the footsteps of daily visitors who brought small tokens, prayers, and songs. At Delphi, pilgrims came to hear the oracle of Apollo, seeking guidance. Yet between the great processions and oracles, there were quieter moments, a priest tending a flame, a traveler pausing to rest in the shade of a sacred grove, a child dropping a flower upon an altar. Mythology lived not in the grand alone, but in the small. And so, over time, these stories continued to weave themselves through Greek life, through poetry, theater, and art. Dramas were performed in open-air theaters, not only as entertainment, but as reflections on human choices, fate, and the will of the gods. Tragedies spoke of kings who fell through pride. Comedies laughed gently at the quirks of daily life. On painted vases, one could see images of Hermes with his winged sandals, of Dionysus crowned with ivy, of Athena with her owl. Each cup or jug, each carving or mural, carried whispers of myth into the quiet corners of daily living. Even as centuries turned and empires shifted, the stories endured. The Romans adopted them, giving the gods new names: Zeus as Jupiter, Hera as Juno, Aphrodite as Venus. Later, poets of many lands would retell them, reshaping them again and again. And even now, as you rest and listen, the myths live on, not as distant relics, but as gentle reminders of how people long ago made sense of their world. They saw the divine in the sun's warmth, in the cool of rivers, in the glow of the moon. They spoke of kindness and pride, of journeys and homecomings, of music and silence. Perhaps what makes Greek mythology soothing is not its battles or thunderbolts, but the way it touches on the simple rhythm of existence. Seeds planted in spring, bread broken at a table, stars rising at night, a story told by firelight. These myths, at heart, are quiet companions to the life we all know, filled with change, with hope, with memory, with love. And so, as you lie here now listening, you may let these stories drift softly through your mind, like gentle waves against a shore. The gods upon Olympus, the heroes on their journeys, the nymphs by their streams, all grow quiet, settling back into the tapestry of myth. The stars shine above, the earth rests below, and all is calm. You need not remember every name, every tale. You may simply let the stories carry you, like a boat drifting downstream, smooth and slow. The night deepens, your breath is steady, and the myths fold themselves away, like a book gently closing. All is well. You are safe, you are at rest, and sleep comes softly, like Persephone returning each spring, like dawn after the night. The story is complete, and so you may let go now, drifting peaceful into dreams.